I wanted to hear a little bit more about hiring people that need a second chance. It sounded really interesting.
Yeah, so early on in the life of Maud, it happened a little bit by accident, that someone was hired who had been a repeat felon, who had had a really tough personal history. And the person in our organization that hired them in just saw something in them and believed in them. And this person just turned out to be somebody who really wanted to turn their life around, just needed somebody to believe in them. And it happened that they were surrounded by some people who probably believed in him more than he believed in himself, getting back to this power of expectations. And what happened, again, by accident, was that he ended up bringing others from his community in. And what has transpired is that these people who have had difficulty with the law, difficulty with drugs and alcohol, difficulty in their life generally, have become some of the most impactful, productive culture carriers in the company. And it's humbling, and it's one of those things that inspires us about our own business, that we kind of set this direction out that we wanted to make an impact, but we really left it to the team to kind of figure out how that would come to life. And the way it's come to life has been magical in a lot of ways. But there are these people now at Maud who, I was at an event last night, and there's a guy named Sam who was there who, I've known him for 3 years. We hired him 3 years ago, but he was telling me his story again. He's a 7-time felon. He has been shot 3 times. He's been stabbed 6 times. He just had a really hard life. And he came to Maud hoping to turn his life around, and he's now a general manager of one of our stores where, like he said, you guys, for some crazy reason, decided to trust me and hand me the keys of a store that's doing $1.5 million in revenue, and it's a cash business. And I'll tell you, I couldn't even get a job at a place like this before because I had to tick a box that said I had a certain history. And you guys crossed that box off the application, and you gave me a chance. And I'll tell you, he has now inspired and brought along, there are probably 10 people in our company that he is he's directly responsible for having brought in and inspired and mentored. And so I can't say enough about this idea of just believing in people at times when they need someone to believe in them, and the gratitude that comes out of that is so powerful. Now, it's not to say that there aren't mistakes that are made and that there aren't times when that goes sideways, but there's a great quote which I'll mash up, but this idea that the humanity is the ocean, and you can't condemn the ocean just because there are a few bad drops that get dropped into it. I mean, you have to look through that and manage through it. And talking about stories, one of the stories we tell, Wide Boulevard, High Curbs, is that one of these individuals, the very first individual who came in with that bad history, after about a year was promoted to general manager. It was an emotional experience. He was in tears. And this is a big, tough dude. He's tatted up, and he broke down because we believed in him. About 6 weeks after he took over, he lost a deposit of about $2,000, right? Lost a deposit, and there was that moment. What do we believe in? And we looked at him and we believed him, and so we said to him, okay, let's look at how this happened, let's not do it again, but we've got your back, we believe in you. I can tell you that he has paid us back 1,000-fold because of that moment where here's a guy who, for all the reasons in the world, you would say, this is a guy we can't trust. And losing a deposit, but we believed in him. Similarly, though, another person 2 years later, similar background, who was getting promoted from an assistant general manager to a general manager, as he was transitioning out of his store, there was a short of, I think it was like $50. And he didn't want the bank to be short, so he took $50 out of the tip money for the team to make it up so that there wouldn't be a short. And he was then asked by the person he reported to, what happened? And he lied, and he was fired. And we tell that story because the whole point being $2,000, but we believed in you and you stayed inside the curbs. $50, but you jump the curbs. You're out. Now, it happened that 6 months later he ended up coming back, but those are the types of stories we tell, and Raj, absolutely right. It's not all just the positive stories. It's, hey, listen, here's how the values come to life, and we have your back as long as you stay inside the curbs, but if you don't, if it's $5 or $50, it doesn't matter, it's the principle. But I'll tell you that the idea of getting behind these people who needed a second chance, a fresh start, I'm so grateful because they have paid us back and they become real drivers of our culture. Our culture is, we kind of talk about it as this open source experiment because we set a direction, but we didn't say, here's exactly what it's going to be. And the team has kind of created the context, and it's been fun to be a part of.
Wow. The event that Scott mentioned they were at last night was, by the way, Mod was receiving an award for community impact, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
no surprise there, right?